Use the inverse function property to determine whether f and g are inverses of each other. So we have two functions, f of x and g of x, and we are supposed to determine whether they are inverses of each other. If we use the inverse function property to do that, we would do that by finding the composition of the two functions, f of g of x, and then seeing if we can simplify that down to just x. So that means that we would find f of 1 over x plus 11, since g of x is 1 over x plus 11. But that means that everywhere there's an x in f, we should put 1 over x plus 11. So substituting, we would have 1 over x plus 11 minus 11. Now our 11s would cancel, so we would wind up with 1 over x. But when we divide with fractions, we remember that the job is to invert and multiply. So we would have 1 in the top times x over 1 when we invert the denominator and multiply. But this, of course, is just x. So we have shown then that these are inverses of each other. We could also go through the process of finding the inverse for the function f. We would do that by writing out the function 1 over x minus 11, changing f of x to y, so we would have y equals 1 over x minus 11, and then switching x and y, because that is the big step in finding the inverse of a function, is to switch x and y. So we will have x equals 1 over y minus 11. The next step would be to solve for y. So we would do that in this case by multiplying both sides by y minus 11. So we'll multiply the right side by y minus 11 and the left side by y minus 11. We would do that because we want y minus 11 to be eliminated on the right. Now we have, if we distribute the x, y minus 11x equals 1. Now we can add 11x to both sides, and we would have y equals 1 plus 11x. Now, in order to solve for y, we will divide both sides by x, and this of course assumes that x is not 0, and we would have y equals 1 over x plus 11x over x when we separate this into two fractions with a common denominator. The x's would cancel in the second term, so we would have y equals 1 over x plus 11, which is equal to g of x. So we have shown, using the inverse function property by composing the two functions and showing that it reduces to x, that these are inverses, but we have also gone through the process of starting with the function f, switching x and y, solving for y, and ending up with the function g.